Hello, Steve Fletcher here, and welcome to the Everything Guide to Learning to Play Guitar. Before we get started, can I ask you please to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube page, and really help me grow my business. Also, if you've got time, head over to FletcherSteve.com, where you'll find a multitude of resources constantly being updated to assist you with your day-to-day guitar playing needs. Okay, so let's take a look at getting started. Right then, so if you've made it this far, then the chances are that you or somebody that you know is considering starting learning to play guitar. First of all, well done. But you might need a little bit of a helping hand along the way. So it's a bit waffly, this video, I'm afraid, so feel free to, go and do something else while you're listening. But these are a few little things that you need to bear in mind before taking the plunge into getting your first guitar. Now, obviously, the first thing that you're going to need is the right instruments. There are a multitude of different types of guitar available to suit every style, every player, every size, every individual. But before we get to that, I just want to sow a few seeds in your brain of a few other little things that you're going to need to think about before we get down to the place where you buy your first guitar. Now, obviously, any age person can learn to play any instrument, but something that you're going to need to consider is physical size. Okay, so a child of 5, 6, 7 years old is going to struggle with a full size guitar. So what you're going to need to do there is take the time to head down to your local music shop. The internet search engines are your friend there. Head down to your local music shop and have a chat with the salespeople there. And get sized up for the right instrument that you're going to need. There are masses of different choices out there. Half size, 3/4 size, full size guitars. So, it might take a little bit of time, but you will eventually find the guitar that is the right one for you. Those staff are usually absolutely brilliant and they don't mind helping you out at all. It's what they are there for. It does take, obviously, a degree of hard work, time, and practice to learn to play not just the guitar, but any instrument. And I'm sorry to say, really small children who've got a lot of distractions, lots of gadgets, lots of gizmos, lots of computer games, lots of other things happening. It's very difficult sometimes to get younger children to think about doing it. So there is going to be a little degree, mum and dad, in a bit of pushing and a little bit of persuasion. Come on, it's time for guitar practice. 9 times out of 10, young children, they just won't do it by themselves. They won't think to do it by themselves. It's nothing negative. No, I'm not casting any aspersions against anybody in particular. It's just, on average, young children just won't think to do that. So you, the good parent, are going to have to just give them that little bit of a nudge. Now, if it is your son or your daughter or whoever who is learning to play guitar, a really good idea is probably to learn with them. All right? That way, they've got someone to sort of take them along that route, especially if you are learning completely by, these videos. It's always a good idea to have that little bit of banter between yourselves to just sort of work through any little problems that might come up. All right. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to learn to play the guitar. And just probably one final thing regarding time and stuff. Obviously, if it's not your son and daughter that's wanting to learn, if it's you, busy mum, dad, working parent, you're either going to work, you're working at home, you're, one of these fabulous house people, having the time to put into it is not always easy to find. So just bear in mind, that with any instrument, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So if it is a case that, I haven't practiced for a couple of days, couple of weeks, obviously you're going to have a little bit of a time where you're doing a bit of recapping before you actually move on to the next thing. So just bear that in mind, really. Don't get too downhearted about it. It's one of those things. We're all busy. We all have things that we need to do rather than what we necessarily want to do. And these things get in the way sometimes. So let's start mentioning the guitar. Buying, borrowing, hopefully not stealing, your first guitar. Now, the guitar that you get at first really does make a huge difference to your overall enjoyment of these first stages of learning. It can be made very, very difficult if you get the wrong instrument for you. So this is what I've said before about making sure that the size is right, the fit is right, making sure that that instrument does sit nicely with you. The absolute best thing I can suggest to you, and I can underline and put this in bold and in italics, is go down to your local music instrument shop. Ask the staff, talk to the staff there. They will, as well as discussing things such as the size and shape of the guitar that you might want, they'll also be happy to discuss your budget with you. So we'll find the right guitar to suit a variety of requirements for you before you get started. Okay, so that's what I would definitely advise. Now, sometimes as well, a lovely, well-meaning person might say to you, I've got a guitar in the attic. It's been there for 30 years. You can use that. So just a little word of caution. It's a wonderful thing for someone to donate an instrument to you. But if it's an instrument that hasn't been used for a really long time, just be careful. It might be, especially if it's been put in a cold, warm, damp place, it might be a bit warped. It might be a bit cracked. It might be a bit rusty. Strings are going to need changing. It's certainly going to need a jolly good clean. So it's, just approach with a little bit of caution. Guitars like that. Again, go down to your guitar shop. All right. Ask them about it. They won't mind. The sort of minimum they'll do is recommend that you give it a good clean and put some new strings on it. So they're going to get a sale of some new strings out of it for you. If they look at it and say, no, it's a complete write-off, again, they're going to talk to you and take you through what you might need to get something that is appropriate. So there we go. That's just a few little bits and pieces to bear in mind before you take the plunge into getting your first instruments. I hope I've helped to sow a seed and give you a few little things to consider before you start. All right. So in the next video, we're going to have a look at the kinds of guitar that you are going to see that you might want to consider buying. There's no such thing as a normal guitar. There are three main types, and we're going to cover them in the next video. So hopefully see you there. See you later.